Hello, and welcome back to the studio. I'm DrWiggo, and today we're going to be installing some accent lighting for behind me. If you're just interested in the Neewer RGB stick light and the LIFX smart light, it's basically a hue light, only off-brand. If you're just interested in what's in these boxes, skip to the next chapter, because that's where I'll start opening them. But first, as usual, let me tell you the story about why I picked these particular ones. Obviously, I want some sort of wash light behind me. Most people on YouTube and a lot of professional photographers and stuff have stick lights, which they put off camera, aiming, sometimes on camera behind them, aiming in. So I said, that sounds like it. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos about stick lights. The Neewer RGB stick light was not the best, not the most, I don't even think it's the cheapest. You know what it has that all the other ones didn't have? An app already installed on my phone. After the debacle with the small rig app, I didn't want to be putting a whole bunch of more apps on my phone. But I already have a Neewer app on my phone because I have a bunch of the Neewer RGB panels in my office. Remember, this is not my first studio. My first studio was for school, and it's down in my office, and it's like a backdrop and a bunch of light fixtures and one camera. That's all down there. That's my Canon 90D. This studio, I wanted to add this, and I'm going, well, I already have the Neewer app on there for the RGB panels that I have down there, so go with Neewer. You may have noticed last week that I had a lot more light up here behind me. Well, that was because I had the overhead lights on. I've got 4 scoop lights in the ceiling. There's two here, right above, right even with me, basically dead even with me. There's one right there, and the other one's like at that angle over there. And then there's 2 more on that side that operate independently. They have a separate switch. I said, I'll put in like a Philips Hue kind of light, except Philips Hue lights are expensive. And the last time I needed an overhead light that was RGB and did all that stuff, well, guess what? I went with LIFX because it was like half the price of a Philips Hue. Well, guess what that means? That's another app already on my phone. So I got this app on my phone. I have this app on my phone. So I can put these lights here and here to give me a wash behind from above, but these shelves are gonna cast shadows, which you may have noticed in the small rig video where there were some shadows back here being cast by the overhead lights. That's the other reason I got this. And notice how small this is. These shelves, well, here. See, I can put it at the height between the shelves, so hopefully the shelves will not be, well, we're gonna see. So that's why I bought these lights, because I already had the apps on my phone, and I'm getting sick and tired of having more light. Right now I have 4 lighting apps on my phone. I also have some GoV plugs and stuff that control different lights in my house. In all likelihood, you will be watching this video after the video I'm going to shoot next, which is I found another light for my fill light over here. It's coming from China and it's on its way, and I'm not sure when it's going to be here. So to be sure I will have a video for this week, I'm shooting this first while I'm waiting, and then I can have this all edited and ready to go. And then if the light comes in time, the fill light, well, I'll shoot that video, and then you'll be seeing that video first and then this video. So it's going to be a little weird if that happens, because you're going to see these lights are going to be in the background of that video. It's like everything, everywhere, all at once. Let's get into the unboxing, shall we? So, well, this one's pretty boring. Let's do it first. These are just, screw-in light bulbs. Now, they're fancy screw-in light bulbs, because, they do Wi-Fi and stuff. So what's in the box? A little get started guide. I've done these kind of things before. You're going to power it on to use the app. I already have the app. And then there's little codes to scan so that it can, and this does Wi-Fi. It's going to, the app will connect to these by Wi-Fi and then somehow connect them by Wi-Fi to my house Wi-Fi. So they just look like this. They're like little floodlights. And they're going to go into these fixtures up here. So those are these guys. They're going to go up there. I'm not going to walk you through doing the app and everything for these because it's really simple, and it also takes a while because you have to wait. Because they're also HomeKit compatible, it has to wait a long time for HomeKit to time out. But I'll get these set up and we'll come back later and you'll get to see them. Moving on. This is the star of the show. The RGB stick light. Not a lot to it. There it is. One of the entertaining things about this is it has this bar here, which is a touch panel where you can change the color. Well, I'll show you in a minute. Then also in the box, little paper stapled to the booklet, how to contact them. And this is the setup guide and the whole 9 yards. How to use the app. Again, I already have the app installed on my phone. We will go through the app setup of these guys. Well, I have a pool. Why would I ever put this underwater? But if you ever want to put it underwater, there's a little waterproof bag that you can seal it in. Now the other thing it comes with, obviously a power cord, a strap. These are going to go on stands and never move again. I don't need strap. Here's the USB to USB-A to USB-C power cord. Not very long. I may be looking for an extension cord later. Also in the box is a little velveteen kind of bag for carrying it around. Oh look, a softbox. It's already got a diffusing panel on it. So, but this is if you want to direct the light so it doesn't spill. We might try this out later. I don't know. We'll see. That's what's in the box. Oh wait. One more important thing. This is metal, so these are little magnetic, and they have the little 3M kind of, you peel this off and you can like stick these to things. Again, I'm going to be using a lighting stand. Amazon Basics, I won't be unboxing that. It has the 1/4 inch for the lighting stand on either end, so you can mount them either way. Let's plug it in and see what happens. Got it plugged in now. It's showing it was already partly charged, so I could have started this without going and finding an extension cord, but as you can see, it has a nice little LCD panel on the back. So it has a mode button. It's in CCT mode. Now, I'm never going to use it in this mode. So in CCT mode, you can run between 3200 Kelvin and 5600 Kelvin. This is at 17%. This is 100%. Now we're in color mode. Well, up top it shows HSI mode. If I hit it again, that's scene mode. CCT, so it's the mode button cycles between CCT, HSI, which is the RGB mode, which is the mode I'll be using it in. These buttons aren't the easiest thing to use. However, you probably won't ever be using them because you'll be using the app, which we're going to get to in a minute. I can control the saturation. If I hit the double arrow button again, the H flashes, I guess for hue, and then you can run through all your colors. Then there's a lock button, and if you press that, now you can use the little panel to run through the hues. And then when you have it on the hue you want, you tap the lock button again, and now it turns that panel off so you can't accidentally change it. Not bad. But I already have the app installed. What's showing on the screen in the app now are all my lights down in my office. I'm going to add a device. This is a Bluetooth. There's Bluetooth Wi-Fi, but I watched a video and they said, click on Infinity, and there it is. Okay, adding device. The Device added. If you go to edit groups in the office, it has the ones in the office, but it also has this one. Okay, there's invisible check marks down the right-hand side. So for office, I'm going to go hit these invisible check marks on all these other lights and say confirm. Studio group is just going to be this one and the other one when I open that up. So I can turn it off. Now if I click on it, oh wait, here. There we go. So now it flipped into CCT mode. And on the app you can see the same things you see here, 50% brightness, 5500 Kelvin. Now we're in RGB, and we've got all here. I mean, the same things you can do over here on this panel, you can do in the app, and you can control the brightness and the saturation. These little dots are hard to grab on the app. It also has scene mode, so we've got lightning. I'm not really going to show this. We have television, defective bulb, expression, welding, CCT flash, hue flash, and you got speed controls, and so you have all these controls of scenes. Again, I'm not a scene kind of guy. I'm going to be using this mode. Compared to the small rig app, this is amazing. It just works. I'm going to unpack the other one, stick these on light stands. The world's fastest unboxing. Unzip, take out. There we go. Again, Amazon Basics, cheap light stand. I mean, these things weigh nothing. Again, I'm going to want it about between these shelves, so I'm going to maybe put that right about there. I'm screwing it on so that the screen faces up. So let's come put this over here. Now what I'm going to do is install the LIFX lights up so I can have a downwash.
2 weeks later.
Well, that certainly could have gone better, which you knew if you watched last week's video, which was shot after the part you just saw, but before this part. It went horribly, horribly wrong. So horribly that you might notice that there is a set of Philips Hue bulbs and a Philips Hue bridge, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to get a Philips Hue, because you need a bridge and I'll need another app. But oh my God, the LIFX, which I have learned after watching hundreds of videos, none of which helped me. And I'll tell you that story, but you probably don't want to hear it. So skip to the next chapter and I'll open these boxes and then install these and we'll just finish the video up. But I have to get it off my chest how horrible what happened was. In preparation for this thing, I bought a couple of LIFX bulbs, like you saw in the earlier part of the video, a couple of weeks before I ever got around to this, and I had them in, I got them set up, they were working fine. But then for the video, I said, well, I'm going to get 2 more because I can put them in the other 2 cans over here. So I'd have the ones I already had installed and then these. As I'm getting ready to do all this, one of this bulb started freaking out. I mean, it would be going along and then all of a sudden it would just start flashing and carrying on and it ceased to be functional. And then the app would say it couldn't find it, and it was terrible. So I said, well, that's okay, because I got these new ones. So, and you saw, I opened them, and I was going to install them. I never got the app to see either of those lights, the new ones. Wait, and it gets worse. Because this one was freaking out, and all the videos and everything, and the tech support said, well, you need to turn the switch off and on 5 times, and that'll reset the light. Well, I did that. But don't forget, there was another light. 2 lights were on the same switch. I reset that one too. So now I had 4 lights that were not connected to the app and were unable to connect to the app. And I think I mentioned in the earlier part that it takes a really long time because you have to go through and one of the things I learned is if you don't do the HomeKit part of the setup, I never got them to attach to the lights. Those first two I installed before I was shooting several weeks ago. I went through the HomeKit part of the setup and they installed fine. Well, at first. But these, I tried doing it without I tried every combination and it would go in. Basically, if the app would see it before HomeKit had finished, then you were dead and you had to start over. Now, each of these things takes about a half hour to an hour because it goes into this thing and it's waiting and looking. So I was running up and down the stairs here and doing stuff, and it was 3 days. I spent 3 days trying to get these lights working, these LIFX lights. They just weren't having it. Again, the first two set up no problem, but then one of them started freaking out after a week or two. And then now, none of them are attached to anything. And by the way, you can't use them as bulbs either, just regular bulbs, because I tried to set them up, they just flash. You can't just turn them off and on like with the switch anymore, because... But I also learned another important thing I learned. So if you want to try LIFX lights, which I do not recommend, but if you want to delete a light once it's been put into the app, you can't do it in the app. They have a cloud service that stores all your lighting stuff, and you have to go log into their cloud service where you can delete the lights. It took me a day to learn that. I had to watch a lot of videos. And I finally figured out how to delete the lights so I could start fresh. Well, I just meant I couldn't start at all. Forget LIFX. I'm going to go with Philips Hue. Yes, they're more expensive. Actually, turns out LIFX is kind of a premium product. So these are not that much more expensive than LIFX. I mean, they're more, but... So I have the 85-watt floodlights and the bridge, which I'm going to have to install. I won't film that. I'll go downstairs because I have to go into where my router is stored and everything. And because the bridge connects to your router, and then the lights work through that. And yes, you can technically use these without the bridge, but some of the functions aren't available. Well, let's just open it up. There's not a lot to unbox here. There's a little manual, and then there's a couple of lights. Okay, unboxing complete. Oh, if you'll notice, the Hue lights have a UPC code that you can scan right on the base of the bulb here. The LIFX lights, not so much. You have to have the little card that comes in the box that has these codes on a piece of paper. You lose the piece of paper, you can't set up the light. I already like these better. And then we have the bridge, which is just a thing that I'm going to go plug in downstairs, and then I'll come back. You plug it into your router and into power, and it's ready to go. Quite a fancy little package for a couple of little pieces of paper. I guess that's what you pay the premium price for. They do supply the RJ11, so you can plug it into your router. And here's the little power brick. So you do get all the pieces you need. I am going to run downstairs and hook this up to my router. And I'm going to screw these in up here. And then I'll come back here.
20 minutes later.
That took a bit longer than it needed to. For one thing, there was this little box in the box that looked like just a spacer box. But what it was the little plate for the power adapter, because, depending on where you are, they have different plugs. So I had to come back up, and then I had to go and keep having to press the button on the bridge, and that takes a while. And then I had to set up the app, and that took a while. And again, there are plenty of videos on YouTube where you can go see how to set up Hue lights. You don't need me to show you. But they're on, although they don't throw a lot of light. That's one thing where the LIFX had the advantage. They were brighter. They were like 100 watt. These are like 85 watt. They weren't a lot brighter, but they were a little brighter. But I have them matched now to the RGB stick lights. So it's a decent little light. Well, that was rather anticlimactic. After spending 3 days trying to get the LIFX to work, to have this work almost immediately, although I did have to run up and down the stairs a few times to get things. Pro tip, when you're setting the thing up, the bridge, stay next to the bridge while you mess with the app, because you have to keep hitting the button on the bridge. And there was an update, actually there were two updates, because it downloaded and installed one and then downloaded and installed another. So that took another like 20 minutes. But it's working. I have the app here next to the Neewer app, next to the LIFX app, which works for the lights down in my office studio, and my Govee, and then the Zhun for this light. What have we learned? I'll tell you what I learned. Don't mess with LIFX. The ones I bought 2 years ago for in my office work great. I've never had a problem. The app works fine. Everything always just been fine. So I figured it was a no-brainer. No, it was a brainer, and it hurt my brain. Like I said, I never got them to work. Well, the initial setup before I started shooting, I got them to work briefly. So this is my accent lighting. That was a lot of drama for not a lot of payoff. So that is the accent lighting, and that was way too much trouble for way too little impact. And I really feel like I wasted a whole lot of my time, and possibly yours if you watched all of this. Sorry, my bad. But next week is the good video. So next week, I'm upgrading the audio. I bought a fancy microphone and a audio recorder, standalone audio recorder. And I will tell you all about that next week, and hopefully it will sound a lot better than this sounded. That's it for today, or actually for the last 2 weeks. And I will be back next week upgrading my audio. So I'll see you then. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.